Hello there, welcome to BusinessAM. Today we are speaking to the CEO, Maisha Microfinance Bank. Now, for those of you who know from last week, we've been talking about the performance of the micro lending sector in the country. Now, if you go back to the 2018 results all the way to 2019, you're going to see that just a couple, and I'm talking about 3 of the micro lenders in the country are the ones that were able to post proper profits when it comes to the various products that they have on their portfolio. Now, let's talk to the CEO, Maisha Microfinance Bank, on what he thinks the recent demonetization drive, which everybody's talking about right now, and exactly how it's going to affect, if in any way, it's going to get into their businesses in 2019.
The country generally, especially the microfinance sector, suffers from weak savings culture. You must have seen products launched to drive up savings culture. So our economy is more of a consumption economy. Sometimes you don't even need to open your mouth for someone to take a loan. It's very easy. But saving is one of the components that is suffering. So I think from demonetization, we are going to see an increasing number of Kenyans opening savings accounts, opening current accounts, and putting money in their formal system, which of course will be subjected to normal controls as regulated by the central bank. That certain checks have to be conducted, as per the recent press release by the governor. Once demonetization picks up and we have the new currency and the checks and controls are in place, I see a scenario where we are going to have reduced levels of corruption, and I think that would be good also for the economy, because you can imagine money that is sitting with a few 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 individuals should be spurring the economy.
Now, if you talk to various economists, now they will tell you that, well, the banking sector in general has been affected by the new model, that is the IFRS 9 that was introduced, just sort of tells all the micro lenders to actually offer or provide for that section of the non-performing loans that they have on their portfolio. Now, some of the micro lenders in the country have actually said, well, this is exactly what is affecting the performance of the banking sector in the country. Now, I know microfinance banks are not treated the same way in which the mother banks are treated in the country. But how has this had an effect on the general performing of the microfinance sector in 2018? Let's take a look.
I think if you look at the microfinance banking sector, if you look at it in Cairo, it would look like they are the only ones who are experiencing the problem. But I think whatever happened was playing out in the whole economy. You would recall in January 2018, a new accounting standard came into force. I think you're familiar. That's IFRS 9. This was a major shift in terms of the way banks and microfinance banks have been accounting for their loan defaults, recognizing the loan impairment charges in the P&L. What it means is now you anticipate that even when you give a good loan, there's a likelihood, a percentage likelihood that this loan will go into default. So you need to recognize that entry in your P&L. So there was a shift in the accounting system, which I will not say squarely, but I think microfinance banks also had a share of that. So the loan loss impairments charges, of course, they went up. Yeah, so I think that partially affected their performance, and of course, when that happens, because of the increase in loan loss provisions for some situations it would compromise capital levels.
Yes.
Risk-based pricing was not given an opportunity. Yeah, because some products are riskier than others, more risky than others. So that tended to affect the banking sector. Whereas microfinance banking sector is actually not directly affected by the interest rate capping. Customers who are getting loans in the commercial banking, in the commercial banks, because of the sieving, you don't want to absorb risky customers into your system. So they would now come into the microfinance banking sector. But remember, we are equally regulated. Yeah. So suddenly we are in a catch-22 situation.
Now, generally, you cannot actually say that the performance of the microfinance banks was at a weak point. Yes, everybody agrees that. But the question that I really want to put across to the Maisha Microfinance Bank CEO is exactly which points that in the whole of 2018, I can actually look at and say, wow, in these areas, we did record an improvement or a marginal growth, if any, from 2017. Let's take a look.
I think when we got our license, we consciously put our focus on the customer. We listen more to the customer just to understand the needs of the customer. So we don't just wake up and put a product in the market. So we talk to our customers, and our customers tell us this is the product that we need. So we tailor-make products. That's what we've basically done. Innovate around product around the customer, innovate services around the customer. We noted since inception that customers need convenience. I don't need to go to the banking hall all the time. I don't need to close my shop, go to the banking hall to go and bank money. That is the old banking. I don't need to, I need to access my money. I need to check my balance. Yeah? I can take a loan. So as Maisha, we've responded to those customers because we are telling customers you don't need to close your shop to come to the banking hall. Yeah? You can actually deposit money into your account. You can check your balance that sits in your account from the comfort of your shop. And this you can do actually on 24/7 basis. If you want to withdraw money, you can equally do the same. So we've innovated solutions around that just to create convenience to the customer and make sure that we develop a loyal customer base. One of our famous brand products is Mfanisi. I think if you watch around, it's like everybody's talking innovation. So really, you have to move with the tsunami. So you are more relevant to the customer. You can imagine if you're telling the customer, I want to do this. The way I've been doing it before. Yes. Not that the old way is bad, but I think it's good. You can start shifting and adopting certain innovations that respond to the customer's needs. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think I forgot to mention something because of our product innovation. About 2-3 weeks ago, we won an award as the best microfinance bank in Kenya in product innovation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we thank our customers for giving us feedback, for enabling us to develop products that respond to their needs. Yeah. Because of what we are witnessing in the industry, there is a shift towards adoption of innovation. Because innovation, as I've explained earlier, has got a lot of efficiencies. So we see a scenario where there is going to be a reduction in brick and mortar. If you slide back like 10 years, you're seeing every branch was, you could roll out like 10 branches at a go. You cannot do that now. I mean, not that you cannot do, but very few institutions would actually dedicate their resources to do that. So from a global point of view, I see a reduction in, there's going to be a lot of adoption of innovation. Yeah, people adopting technology to drive their business. So for Maisha, we see ourselves also continually improving our services, building a resilient business model that withstands the market pressures, that's also a model that talks to our customer. Very important. Yes. Talks to our customer. Yeah, so we see ourselves as being one of the key players in financial inclusion. We are not after being a big institution, but we are after driving our mandate as a microfinance bank, which is helping the government to drive financial inclusion. So we see ourselves as being one of the key players in that sector.
So when we talk about the performance of the microfinance bank in 2018, you can actually see that when you're talking about only 3 banks or lenders in the country that are actually posting profits across their portfolio, then you're going to ask yourself the question, what did the microfinance bank CEOs do as they were trying to respond to this sort of performance? Now, the question is, was Maisha Microfinance Bank therefore forced to change some of their strategies as they charted their way through 2018?
You know, strategy is like a roadmap. So I think if circumstances change, right now we were just talking about demonetization. Yes. Something can come in between here. So I think you have to keep refining your strategies as and when. Yes. But of course you have a roadmap, but a strategy cannot be static where you say we've bound ourselves with this, so we must stick by these rules. It's not a rule. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to move with the times and see what's happening around. Am I on the right path? So if I'm not on the right path, every so often you assess whether you're on the right track. If you're not on the right track, then keep adjusting. Yes. But you have a roadmap.
Now, if you look at the way in which Maisha Microfinance Bank has performed in 2018, then the question really remains that, well, since they're charting to remain in business in 2019, what are some of the strategies or what some of the projections they have for 2019? And in what way are they positioning themselves in the market to sort of relocate the performance that they have seen in 2018?
I just want to have a very simplistic approach to the economy, because I come from a rural area. And if you look at the rural area setup, people are generally poor. Yeah? They're looking for very little income. You cannot imagine 10 shillings would be big money for somebody. And I'm not saying that with whatever, lot of bias, but for someone, 10 shillings is a lot of money. Yes. So, there are a few things we can do to spur the economy. For instance, we can focus on infrastructure, let's have a lot of focus on infrastructure, just opening up the rural areas, have more roads, open up the rural areas so that, vehicles are able to move from one point to another. You can imagine in some of the rural areas, somebody has to tarmac like 25 kilometers just to go and board a bus. So I think we need to open them up. Yeah? Focus on infrastructure. And I think I must say the government has made quite some strides in this area. The national and county governments have made quite some strides, but it's something that they can even, try and do a little bit more. Open up, dedicate a lot of resources to infrastructure. The second aspect is, electricity. Is also one of the basic commodities. Every home needs lighting. So, if you take the rural area, they are using the lamps. Yes. And come to the urban area, everybody is having an electricity meter. So I think we need to move and maybe put solar panels or whatever, but let's just light the rural homes. Yes. And especially electricity. If you look at some of the dry areas of this country, let's take an area like Kajiado, take an area like Wajir, take an area like Sambul, Machakos, which occasionally Baringo, which occasionally suffer from drought. We can dedicate some of financial resources to, drilling boreholes, for instance. When you drill boreholes, they enable the communities living in those areas to have another source of livelihood, because now it opens them up to do even horticulture, for instance. So they move, if it is a community that is keeping livestock, for instance, I think we have a few communities that, livestock is the main source of livelihood. You can have option B. So some can resort to doing horticulture.
Thank you very much for joining us on BusinessAM this morning. Guess what? Next week we shall look into more areas of the Kenyan economy. This morning we were speaking to the Maisha Microfinance Bank CEO. My name is Simbalaja Charles Kiage. You can join us live at Twitter, that is at Metropole TVKE. I am at Charles_Kiage. Let's meet tomorrow for another edition of BusinessAM.